Yes, today we had an exciting day today, didn't we?
Yes,
Didn't
we
we?
did. We
Yes,
did all
yes,
we could do today for our
yes,
country.
yes. We had the new mayor of Beaumont, Madam Robin Mouton. And how was that?
That was super exciting.
Yes,
And we got to take some photos. We got to see history being made. And for everybody that came out and supported and voted and did their civic duty, we are on the verge of something very exciting. And we're looking forward to it. The future is very bright and we're on the cusp of greatness. So tonight, we have a very exciting show. Hopefully, we can deal with some of the issues that are facing Beaumont and we can be proactive instead of being reactive. So, we're trying to be on the pioneering front of handling one of Beaumont's biggest issues.
yes. The water department infrastructure. We're going to talk about the brown water crisis. We're going to talk about the city council, making them accountable. We're gonna we've got some experts that's going to be with us as our guests. Yes, the two experts. We're going to have James Eller Jr. And also Tricia Kern Premo. Did I say it right?
You did
All
good
right, all
for a
right, all
change.
right, all right. We're gonna bring these. We're gonna bring them on. They're gonna be our guests, and we're gonna dive deep, 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 deep today.
And let's tell them what Knowledge is Power podcast
Yeah,
live.
let's do that, and so we can move on to that show. Okay, go ahead.
Knowledge is Power podcast live is a platform to share important information by educating Southeast Texas African American communities with valuable information on health, education, finances, politics, and business. And we pride ourselves on keeping our hand on the pulse of this community, making sure that you are aware of what is going on in and around Jefferson County.
That's right. Southeast Texas, Jefferson County, Orange County, Hardin County. We want it all. Whatever you need to know, we're here for you. Knowledge is Power Podcast Live is now on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Apple iTunes. You're welcome anytime to watch the show. And also, we also have a website. If you missed a show and you want to see a show, is at www.knowledgeispowerpodcast.live. One of the top podcast shows in the state of Texas was right here. Knowledge is Power Podcast. So it's right in your backyard. So whatever you need to do and whatever you need to get out, we're here to help. And also, I have, let's see, did I miss any PAC, the vaccine? I missed that meeting this morning, but we're still going to be giving vaccination for the COVID-19. And okay, so tonight, the city of Beaumont, brown water crisis. Yeah, I'm ready for our guests. We'll be right back. We'll be right back right after our. Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with your host, Tony Redford, and my co-hosts, LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Lawkins.
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live starts now.
Watching or you're listening, get your popcorn, get you some popcorn and kick back and get ready because we're going to dive right into this. We're going to dive right into this podcast with our special guests, Tricia Premo and James Eller Jr. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hey,
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
how are you?
I got ready to wash my dishes this evening, and what did I find? Brown water. Can you talk to me about
Oh my.
it? It's. I know the people at the Citizen Beaumont are really tired of it. They are just
Oh yeah.
disgusted, and
Yes.
it's time to make. We do have a new council, so I know we need to give them a chance and an opportunity, but we do have the same city manager who has just about destroyed the water department, the city water department,
Right.
and it is time for we need a change. So let's get started
Right.
with that. And I'm not going to go. I'm going to take a back seat and let the two pros here talk to me about the brown water crisis. Why do we
All
have this
right.
brown water crisis? I'll start with Trish. Trish.
Years and years of neglect and lack of maintenance. Just it started with Kyle Hayes. He's the problem, and just rolling downhill from there.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to elaborate on that.
Yeah,
Tell me what's going on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Look, I done got all of it in my camera. Are we gonna talk about that a little bit more, or what is gonna happen?
There's no accountability. Nobody is. I don't know. I guess nobody wants to step up to him and ask him what his problem is and shake the shit out of him and make him do something. So I came. I'll do it.
Now, who been performing the tests and for the accuracy of the brown water?
For the city performs its own tests.
Right.
Which is fine and dandy, except for the city's proven time and time again they can't be trusted.
Right. Well, and also what they're doing is they're testing clear water. You know what I'm saying? Water that hasn't had any issues straight from, possibly straight from their sources, right? There are particular test stations. They're not coming to people's homes. They're not testing at the fire hydrants that are actually in the communities. So they're not testing the buildup of that brown sediment. They're testing whenever it's crystal clear, and then they send out a pamphlet every year. I think it's every year that they do that annual report. And according to one person, is that the pamphlet comes back and it reads pretty much the same damn thing each time.
Yes.
So I mean, compared to actual testing, like Ms. Premo did testing recently on a lot of these brown water, is what we keep on trying to tell them to test, because that brown water is still getting into our homes piping. It's getting into our heater tank, our water heater tanks. So with that sediment now coming into our home lines, which it happens, and I understand that it will happen with every city in the U.S. However, if they do not start a plan, which they used to have a plan to flush this sediment out of the lines, then we get a buildup. That buildup then gets heavier until it gets disturbed, either from water line breaks, opening fire hydrants, whatever, and it gets kicked up and it gets shot off into all of our home lines. So it's not just a few homes, it's a lot of homes, it's blocks, it's weeks and months of continued brown water. And like I say, that sediment building up in our own lines and not helping us any. Getting up into our ice makers, our refrigerators, it's clogging up filters. And I mean, filters being that water heaters and being that filters cost sometimes $70 a piece or more, depending on your system, it's costing us to keep on having to replace this. The city is not going to grant us any kind of, they're not going to give us a coupon to go get anything at a lesser cost. So we end up spending, one way or another, we end up spending money for filters. Or like in my situation, I'll go pick up 20 gallons of fresh water at a water supply shop here in Beaumont over on Dowling. Each time I run out, I just go get more. But I'm buying $20 more or 20 more gallons of water on top of what I already pay the city, which is ridiculous, being that they've also increased the rate on the water and sewer and that whole bill, the water bill. They've increased that. I think it was like $44 or $49 up to like $50 something now. Just for normal, just to have a meter at your home and have regular service here. However, we're paying for crappy service. How do you increase it and you give us less?
Right.
It doesn't add up.
Sure.
Now, let me ask you this. Those tests that they perform, and you say they're performing them on clear water, like, I guess, do we get to take part in that testing process or what's happening? Or they just, like you say, send out the pamphlet or the report, but they've done it on water that's not being affected as far as the brown water? Or is that what I'm trying to understand? Or they're not using the water that we use. They're using the water from a place where
they have their particular test stations wherever they might be, and those test stations might be on record. However, I don't see any of the water engineers or whoever asking us, "Hey, why don't you, community, why don't you come over here and see what we're actually testing?" I've never had an invite. I've never heard any of our council members have an invite as our representatives to come down there and actually see the water that the city water department is actually testing. So why don't we make it more transparent and show everybody what we are actually testing, where we're testing it? Is it close to the water source? Because the further that you get away from the water stations that purify or filter the water, the further and further you get away from there, the water is what they say breaks down a little bit, and the change in the color occurs. Plus, you also have older neighborhoods, predominantly minority communities, the older parts of the communities, which is the north end, the east end, and south end, that have the older piping, and ends up that they get probably more sediment. They probably get more because there's more older lines that had never be replaced. So as the low maintenance or no maintenance occurs in those communities, then there's constant or more sediment buildup in those lines compared to newer lines that are throughout the city. Now, I've never seen
Let me ask you this. So the TEQ people,
TCEQ,
TCEQ, when they come out, are they in on the job, or what are they doing?
I've come out. I've had water tested at my place of employment, my office, and they performed their tests. And while she was here, she spoke one way, which was that she thought something was going on and she wanted to get to the bottom of it, and she asked all kinds of questions. But then when she sent me the closeout report, it was completely different than anything that actually happened. The conversation that she and I had, she spoke a bit differently. The city fed her lies about what happened and the time frame that it all happened in. I have the emails to prove it. And she just accepted it. And like yesterday, TCEQ sent me a message that they had talked to the city of Beaumont yesterday. And yesterday, the city said they had a aggressive flushing going on. The brown water was basically gone, and they were aggressively flushing it. A little bit of the city council meeting I caught today was Taylor Neal asking if we had any kind of functioning flushing going on, and the city saying no. So it even is the city and the water department and the council can't even get on the same page. Like,
I want to clarify this up. I want to make it crystal clear for the viewers now. On the one hand, we've got a report that says there is extensive flushing happening. We're flushing
a lot.
Aggressively.
Mm-hmm. Aggressively. Okay, yeah, let me get the wording right. Aggressive flushing. And then you get to the city council meeting and there's no flushing, zero.
Nothing functioning.
Now, with that being said, I mean,
November, I think we said.
You know, I think the water crisis in Beaumont is really interesting. I'm not sure if it's mismanagement, if it's miseducation, if it's a little bit of ignorance, and perhaps a lot of lies. Okay.
Yeah.
Big time.
Now, I don't know what order or what proportion they are, what ratio it is, what to what. But I will say this. The water quality report for Beaumont is worse than that of Flint, Michigan. That I do know for a fact.
If you look at the numbers online on the TCEQ website, we hit the max every single time. We come in just on the line. They're not even like trying to make it lower. Right on the line.
Hey, let me say this though. Who's to say that those levels, because those are how they say those are levels that are acceptable.
Right.
Well, who's to say that acceptable is actually healthy? Okay, so if it's almost maxing out, we're already at that limit where we're already over the, we'll get over the threshold by just a little bit more, right? Well, who's to say that that's really acceptable for long term for people to actually continue to ingest and to go through your liver, and then pump into your blood system, like who's to say that any of those levels are actually permissible for, like, how long are they saying? Are they saying a year, 5 years, 10 years, or 70 something years of drinking the same stuff? Now, we've had council members in the past, all the way up until, hell, we'll say maybe 3 months back is whenever they started saying that they were going to get into the system flushing. They've had council members that, I drink this water every day.
They said it today too. Nobody touched it.
Well, and not only that, what are the long-term effects on you, sir? Are you a little kooky?
Right. You're drinking that brown water. Something's wrong with you. If you think that it's okay to drink that brown water, and the city of Beaumont has actually put out a statement saying, if you have health issues, contact your doctor. That's on their website. Like, do not drink the water if you have health conditions. Well, dang, if it's not healthy, they say the water's safe, but do not drink it if you have health conditions. If you have health conditions and the water's safe, you shouldn't have any worries, right?
Well, the Singapore video came out, and that says in big red letters with an X, do not consume. But they still have underneath that on their website, it tells you can drink it if you don't have like medical problems, certain medical problems.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
So, well, let me ask you this then. I'm listening to the conversation here, and we've talked about this before, and I'm pretty much aware of what's going on. But this started back in 2014, and am I correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at least. At least.
I was looking at records last night of reports made, and it started back in like 07 or 06 is when they started keeping it online.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm talking about when the mismanagement started.
Yeah, I mean, or even before, you know what I'm saying? But we can track it back at least that far.
Yeah, I'm not going to say this, and I hate to call names, but I remember approaching a few of the city council members that's not there anymore. But of course, we have a new city council now.
Mm-hmm.
But I've asked questions about it because I read a lot every day, and I understand that this young lady Karen Norwood will always speak about the audit of the water department was a fake. It was and it became a and since then I've been paying attention, and every time I ask about it, and I'll say, hey, she said this, and they say, oh, she's crazy, but she's not crazy. It's the truth. It's the truth. Right. It is going on. And it all started with that back in that time that they didn't want to pay overtime. And now we've got a problem. We've never had that problem in Beaumont, Texas, ever. Now we've got a problem. Now we got to spend millions and millions of dollars in a complete infrastructure. I don't know about that either. But so tell me about why are we allowing this? Why are we allowing the city manager to mismanage the city water?
I've been asking the same thing, but I get one thing you don't get anybody, which, the level is citizens, city council, city manager. That's the level. We are their bosses.
Yep.
And if we do not demand them to do something, they're not going to do it.
Well, that and how the council to do it for Hayes when we don't do it for them. We have to lead by example.
Right. You have to get up there and actually demand. Now, see, what was it? 4 years back, whenever I think that maybe 3 years back, there was that first evening meeting, and it was the amount of people that showed up that evening and then voted for one thing, it was more in favor, I think, for the city or whatnot. Well, I remember Mayor Ames had said, well, by the showing of hands or by the showing of the people that show up, it shows that they're in favor of basically the city council. Well, more people that actually care about the lesser communities, that actually are the communities that are hurt more, have to show up and show out. If they don't, then that's the ideal, because it was a majority of well-off individuals there at that meeting. It was not the poor. It was not the individuals that were hurting the most, because I think that there's a lack of there's a lack of thought that, hey, they don't give a damn about us, right? So why show up anyway? So we continue to go down that road of we're gonna lose anyway. So don't even commit into attacking them or making them do something, because we're gonna lose regardless. We have to hold the city council accountable. At that point in time, we have to hold the city council accountable to hold the city manager accountable. Because if we don't hold the city manager accountable, he controls the entire department head. He controls the fund, the financing or expenditures. We're not getting our bang for our buck. And then when they say, oh, well, we're going to spend all these, 16, $19 million, 20 something million dollars to do new lines and whatnot, we probably would not have to have changed out a lot of these lines if there was just proper maintenance to those lines.
That's right.
If you have rust, basically the sediment is sitting at the bottom of metal pipes. Our pipes are not plastic pipes. So you have all these main water lines that are metal pipes. They're old. Dr. Mazzolani had told me at one of the DD6 meetings, we're expected to get maybe, I think, 30 years or something like that life out of those pipes. Well, you can lessen that lifetime by having that sediment sitting at the bottom of the pipe. So you get this whole bottom part of the pipe holding sediment, and it's undisturbed. That means that sediment is eating on the bottom of the pipes. It's eating more heavier there, but it will work its way around the pipe. But you will see in a lot of waterline breaks, if you just Google waterline breaks, you will see the actual waterline break is in the bottom to the side of the pipe. It's not really on the top of the pipe a lot of the times. It's on the bottom where the rust has actually just been sitting and just being able to work on the pipe. The pipes do not
what
have...
kind of health problems is that causing?
Imagine
like what
exactly
kind of health hazard conditions or things that may be doing to the children and their growth, development, and
filter your water with a towel one time and see what comes out of it. And then imagine that going through your entire body.
You're right. Well, like I said, your liver is your filter, so your liver is that towel. And I mean, they've had a lady that had post over there off of the circuits, off of North Circuit, West Circuit, all those areas. She had posted a towel that was pretty much like she wiped the top of an old piece of furniture, had wiped the top off because it was black and had like rings on it from where it sat in the drain part, and the water just flushed through. It had all kind of, debris. It wasn't even, it had some brown, but it had more like black, like there was, rust particles and whatnot. And that's I'll say this, there could be some with the house line, but if you don't see that on a normal everyday basis, then that means that that's coming from the main. If it's coming through one day super heavy, that's coming from the main. That's not coming from your actual house line. Your house line is being cleaned or being flushed more often, even if you do have galvanized lines, which is bad per se for the sediment part. You'll see some debris there, maybe in your filters or whatnot, that's on your faucets. But if you start getting brown water periodically, like all day long, that's not your house lines. Your house lines are being constantly, like, the water in the lines are being renewed whenever you're turning on the faucet and running it for 3, 4, 5 minutes. But if you get a flush that's just straight brown for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's all city main water that's brown that's coming straight into your house.
Wow. And that's
and carrying everything with it, I'm saying.
Right here in Beaumont, Texas in 2021.
Right.
So we talked about, we know about the mismanagement, and I'm sure, and I'm going to say this, the water department has not been the same since they fired Haney. And
Dr. Dr.
Haney.
Thom,
Right,
Tom.
right. Haney Thong. That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it has been down to the pits since then, and because of no maintenance, they didn't maintain. So
Right.
so why are we not holding the not city council? I'm sorry. Why are we not holding
Why are we
the
not?
city manager accountable
Right.
for this? Because he
Right.
is in charge of it, right? And
We'll ask this. Yeah, city manager is accountable because he's accountable regardless. Because what about the department heads? So if the department head is not doing his job, the city manager is his boss, right?
right,
So who is to fail? Is it the city manager not doing his job, or is it the department head not doing their job? So who's accountable? Technically, the city manager is fully accountable because if the department head is not doing the procedures right, of course, he needs to be laid off because the city manager is over him. Well, the city council needs to hold the city manager accountable because he's not then doing his job to fire the other guy.
we're talking about the public works director and the utility director, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
Whoever is above each step, like,
And
and then it rolls down. So if there's foremen and supervisors that are supposed to be doing these
mhm.
processes and they're not doing it, then ultimately the city manager is accountable because he's still above the department heads. The
He's the
department
manager.
heads are
He's
supposed to,
to manage
right,
it.
right.
Mhm.
That is in the job title.
So now, so we also talked about the TCEQ
Hmm.
that played a role in this as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And they have not given you an answer. So it sounds like to me they're covering up for the city.
They are. Karen Norwood has video, audio video on her page where TCEQ came in to do an exit interview or a yearly interview. I can't remember which. And it's all audio. Somebody in the room recorded it. And TCEQ says, we found this terribly wrong. All these things were bad, no good, but we're going to keep it off paper.
Wow.
They hit it. They just completely, like it doesn't exist. And then she's hitting the table screaming about, you got to fix all these leaks because there was all kinds of leaks at the time. Leaks everywhere. And they were doing nothing to do anything about it. But they did. They covered up one of the chloroxamines or chlor I can't say the words, but whatever chlorine turns into.
Chloramine or chlorine. Yeah.
She was dumbfounded at the results. They were just something it was unheard of. She had to have many colleagues look into it, and she kept it off paper. She let them get away with it.
So what should we do? Let's what should we do? And after this question here, I'm gonna go to the comment board, and let's because I want everyone to comment. If you want to if you have questions, please, we want those. We want you to drop a comment, and also I would like you to share our podcast so that we can all get a chance to hear and know what's going on in the city. And so, with that, I'm going to ask. The question is the different things that we can do to hold the city accountable and make those changes. What should we do? What can we do? We know we got a brown water crisis. Okay, we know we got an issue. We got homes with brown water, and we got folks that can't even flush their toilet when it rains.
Right.
And that is
and I'll say divide that into two different things: fresh water and sewer. But deal is both of them are the in and the out of our whole water. You got to think about it. If we don't have fresh water, our health is compromised. If we don't have flushing toilets, our health is compromised. Either way, so ins and outs to our water system both need to be addressed. Now, like I said, they are supposedly being freed up and giving, I don't know, whatever it was, like I said, 13, 16, $19 million or more to actually focus on a lot of these water issues. However, they really didn't need to even have a specific attack plan if they would have been doing regular maintenance to this stuff, right? You wouldn't have to attack it and then we wait for months and months and months or years or whatever that time period will kick in for how much that money will replace, right? We wouldn't even have to be addressing that if the regular maintenance, but like I say, Dr. Thom, if that was still being maintained.
Mm-hmm.
He had that flushing going on, that same process of flushing the lines. There was a process of flushing out the sediment back then, and it's unidirectional flushing is what they used to do, where you open the hydrants one way and you flush out the sediment with more pounds or more pressure by opening it up one way and making the main flush out of one line compared to opening 3 or 4 lines in the same section where the pressure drops down. You're not pulling out all the sediment. You have to make it rush and gush to go ahead and empty out the line.
Which
They
is what
had that
been
at one point in time.
This weekend, I saw a couple of hydrants here and there open. Nothing aggressive.
Right.
It wasn't a
Right.
a big flow. It was just trickling out. That's not going to do anything.
Right.
That's not going to help at all.
No, they go crack it. See, the system I read up on the system of cracking those lines. Let's say it's 15,000 volume or pressure, right? So if it's 15 or 1,500, if you open up one, that's how much is coming out of just one. If you open up multiple ones, then you're dropping down that pressure and you're dividing down to 600 here, 500 here, 400 there, and then that equals out to the same amount of pressure or flow rate, right? So they're not doing it properly by flood. Now, right now, they're just trying to flush out all the brown sediment that supposedly was kicked up by the fire department running around. Must be how it was. The fire department was so fast that they ran around the whole city of Beaumont, throughout the whole middle of Beaumont, the west end, and they must have cracked open every hydrant, and they stirred up a whole bunch of brown sediment, because that's how the city of Beaumont is actually playing it, that, oh, well, the fire department, that's the problem. That's the reasons that we're getting all this sediment. It has nothing to do with all the sediment buildup in the line. It's because the fire department went around and they opened up all these lines. It's not possible. The fire department did not run around the whole city of Beaumont and crack open a whole bunch of lines and have sediment stirred up in all the mass amounts throughout the north end, the west end, the central part of Beaumont. There's no way that they could have went around Beaumont and did all that and stirred up as much as what we're seeing. Right?
There was a picture of one of the hydrants that was completely open. I mean, it had a lot of pressure. So they didn't have them all at the same time. They couldn't have done that.
No.
So what happened today in the meeting? I had to leave. Was this discussed today about the brown water? I know they talked about the 555 Main Street, the AT&T building.
It was.
What was the results, or what come out of that?
Well, Hayes reiterated and stuck to his guns that this is never going away. It's always going to be this way.
We never had this before until he.
Yeah, he stuck to it. He made a point, because the water guys were trying to, let us know it's going to be a little while, but we're working on it. It'll get better. And he interjected with, "It's never going away." He was very adamant about that.
He's saying that the brown water will never go away.
But the thing is why is our council, which I understand it's a new council, I always give the new council members a break. I say a year or so to fit in, get in, whatever else.
Right.
Because I've heard, hey, it's hard. You get in there and you get your bearings and whatnot. I'll tell you this, A.J. Turner didn't get in there and get his bearings. He got in there and started getting some things moving, right? So with that said, each and every one of the same new candidates that got in there, they could have did the same damn thing, is got in there and made moves. It doesn't take nothing but raising a hand, giving a voice. Hey, I think we need to look into applications for a new city manager or a new department water head, or somebody, right? So if you're saying that you got to wait, that's a lie. Because if one, the youngest probably of the group, A.J. Turner, can get in there and make some moves off top first couple of weeks in, of the first year, the first couple of weeks in, and you can already start making moves. Why hadn't anybody else? Why hadn't anybody else raised their hand and brought up the idea of, hey, things ain't working out in a relationship? Whenever you're working out with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or whatever, then life is great. Whenever things aren't working out, don't you break up? Don't you move on? Don't you pack your bags? Don't you move out? Right. However, we're continuing this toxic relationship with department heads or the city manager. Whenever there's, we can't do nothing with the water. It can't go away.
Wow.
So do you want an alcoholic abusive relationship because I can't change
He
it.
wanted it to stay the way it is.
Yeah, I can't do any better. Is that what we're saying? For $300,000 a year, we can't do any better.
It's disgusting. The amount of money he makes, and he manages to just not do anything. That's what he manages. Nothing.
Hold our city council accountable of that, though. Because why hasn't any of them raised their hands and said, hey, it's time to break up because our relationship is not working out.
At least put it
It's
on
not
the
working out for the benefit of the city. The citizens are our boss, and we're not holding our employee accountable. That's basically what the city council is. Prior city council did for years, and technically, like I said, even though it's a new council, they're technically allowing the city manager to continue to come up with excuses of, well, there's nothing better. We can't do anything better. Is that the relationship that we expect for the
So,
forever?
I'm sorry, and you guys may have already addressed this, but how as citizens can we get together? Is there a petition we need to sign? Is there something that we can do? Do we need to show up? What can we do to
Show up.
help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Show up.
Yeah, just
See, I would say this with phones. Every time that I would write a letter, you can log in to 311 and you can contact your council and you can click on contact all council, right? You don't have to specifically hit your ward or certain members. You can say, I hit, all council, click that. Then after you write up your letter or whatnot, screenshot that and post it on Facebook and share it. Go to city council meetings and tell the city council, hey, I think it's time for us to break up. Basically, I think we need a new relationship. So until citizens are more active and until they start holding the council to the fire, things aren't going to happen.
Right.
Because obviously none of them are actually going to do it on their own until we put pressure on them.
We got to demand them. We have to
Yes,
demand them.
and it's sad.
It's one
sad.
person can't do it, but we all have to do is demand what we want. You got our votes. You got our votes. We demand this. We demand we need to change. We need a new agreement here. Yes.
Right. I'm not technically going to hold Mike Getz accountable for. I'm going to hold him accountable for 1/7 of this. Right. Whenever I say, hey, if you don't like Kyle Hayes because he does have a lot against Kyle Hayes and brings up, I don't think Kyle Hayes is doing this right, do that. Raise your hand. Get a second. And if nobody else raises their hand, at least we know who stands for removing Kyle Hayes or stands for this or stands for that. If you stand for not wanting the AT&T building, it's just as easy to say, I don't stand for Kyle Hayes on this, or I don't stand for the water department on that. So it's the same thing. Is if you disagree with one thing, you can also disagree with another thing. And then we can see who actually is on the same page, who actually wants this or wants that. Whenever one person, and I say this, like I say, Mike Getz has the most not negative. I don't want to just say it like that, but basically, negative talk towards the procedures that Kyle Hayes does or wants to do. So if he's the spearhead to say, I don't like what Kyle Hayes is doing, raise your hand and say, hey, I don't like you being our city manager anymore. Who's on board? And then whenever nobody else says, hey, we're good, we like him, we like Kyle Hayes. Well, we know next election who's going to stay and who's going to go.
You hear that?
That's what I want to know.
Where they stood and nobody wanted to say a word. Nobody said a word.
You hear that, Mike? I know you're listening.
So instigate it and ask them.
Raise your hand, Mike.
Put your hand up, Mike, and say, this is how it is. Who's with me? And if they all say no, then at least you've done something to try to help.
You hear that?
Exactly.
Mike?
Exactly. So that's what I say. Is if nobody else wants to be the one, if it's a newcomer because they're a newcomer, hey man, I don't want to ruffle feathers yet, whatever else, whatever the deal might be. Oh, that's my buddy. I know him. We hung out. We played tennis together. We drank together. We drove. We went to school together. Okay, well, the first one that comes to my mind that has an ideal of, hey, I don't think that Kyle Hayes is a good city manager, is my guess. But until Mike, because it doesn't look like anybody else will raise their hand and say that same thing. Until Mike does, we won't know who is actually on board with that. I don't believe any other candidate or council up there are going to take that proactive approach to let's look for better management for our city.
I've heard that the other council are worried that if they say something that it's going to make for a rough term because then they have that animosity with him. But Getz would be the perfect one to do it because they've already shot at each other. It's already on the table. Feel about
right.
it.
That's why I say there's no
well, honestly,
right,
I don't believe. I don't feel that our city council, and I can understand your POV, but I don't feel that our city council should go in with that point of view. You have to ruffle some feathers in order to get some things done. And so as elected officials, you should know that sometimes you're going to disagree, but the overall goal and objective is to get it done and to make the citizens and Beaumont better.
Right.
So no matter how tough, absolutely. Sometimes you have to get in the trenches of things to solve problems. So it's more so, and I hope they have the mindset of solution and goal oriented council rather than appeasing each other and not continue to not get anything done.
Right.
I think it would also be really good if we could take the meetings and move them to a time that's good for everybody.
I agree with that.
It's work during the day. I mean, it's work for a lot of people to get there.
Well,
I know I can't.
Well, that's the deal.
I think a 6 p.m. time is an appropriate time to have.
It is.
Second quarter night meeting yet? We're supposed to have one a quarter. When's the next one?
Well, we need more than one a quarter. Okay.
Yeah,
we need to now try. Yeah, we need to now try it the other way around. So we saw what the attendance is for daytime meetings. Like I said, whenever I was running for at-large, I said, look, we need to have evening meetings. We need to also put the citizens comment section first, instead of the citizens having to wait for the entire council to argue and debate and do all this, and then you get 3 minutes and then you're out, right? So why not put the citizens? You're up there in that seat for the citizens, so put the citizens' voice first, because you're also going to probably talk on some of the key points that the citizen wants to talk about that day. So until they change up the time that the citizens talk and the actual time of the meetings, it's not going to make any sense. However, none of them have pushed for it. Some of them have said that, oh, well, we need to try this at night more, this and that. However, we've only had one meeting. Last time, did we have 2 or 3 last time? Last year? 2 or 3 meetings last year, evening?
One, didn't we?
I was giving them 3. Right. But it could have been 1. I didn't want to feel like I was lying. I was trying to give them at least 3.
Yeah, but
I mean, like I say, look, it's sad though. Like, why don't they put it where citizens actually can attend?
Right.
I mean, even if you're a day person and you can come in the day, then that means that, you know what, you can come in the evening as well. In the evening time, individuals that work all day actually can come in the evening time. We have seen the low attendance in the daytime because people can't take off at 1:30 in the day just to come sit for sometimes 2-3 hours to hear the whole council talk. Right. And then you can say for 3 minutes what you need to do and then get out, right? But you've sat for 2 to 3 hours. Now, like I said, put the citizens first and let them comment first. So even if they do take their lunch to come in, talk, and then they can leave and go back to work.
Commenting on something if it's after the fact anyway. Like if they've already made up their minds about it, why are you going to go there?
Right, they've already voted for it, and that's it. You already get no word into it to change their ideal or their thought, their mind process on something, because they've already made up their mind and already voted on it. By the time that you get up there and say, "Well, never mind. All right, y'all got me. I'm going." Like put the citizens first, 100%. That's what I said.
That I agree with you on that. So let's we're talking about it, but let's demand some of the things that we want, and we would group up and meet the council and then request what we want them to do. We are the citizens. They work for us, right?
That's
Yes, they
Right.
do. Yeah.
Right. So we do want a primary time, a predominant time at 6 o'clock p.m. for the council meeting, and we go to 1:30 every quarterly. I would agree with that. That'll get a
Yeah.
more attendance, more people participating because we want to know what's going on. And I agree with you as well on the city council meeting that the citizens should to comment first. Why sit
Right.
there for 2 hours? Why you sit there for 2 hours and maybe 3 hours sometimes, and then
Yeah.
you get 3 minutes afterwards and it's over? No.
Right.
So
Right.
let's put that on the agenda and let's see if we can work towards getting the council to bring that up. So
Absolutely.
so
It's
I have
it's almost the same thing with the voters issues, trying to shut down times in different locations and whatnot. It seems like it's more of an attempt to quiet the citizens whenever you give them 3 minutes to talk, and it's after you already listened to them talk for 2 to 3 hours.
right,
Okay, so you've had to listen to their 2 to 3 hours of talking, and you get 3 minutes at the end of a day where they want you to come in at 1:30. It's almost like citizen suppression.
yeah,
It's just like voter suppression, right? Where they
right,
don't want you to vote. Well, it's the same thing. They don't want you to comment. They don't want you to come here. They put it in the middle of the day when you're at work. You don't come in after you get off of work. You only get 3 minutes, and you have to talk at the end of all their talking. So by that point in time, you want to get the hell out of there anyway, right?
right.
So some people, right? I've seen some people with green cards ready to go talk, but then after 2 or 3 hours, they get up and walk out because they don't want to sit there any longer just for their 3 minutes.
Okay, well, let's go to the comment board. Let's see here. I can move here with. Let's see here. This is coming from one of the Facebook page. That's Teresa Hadnot. She want to know what side of the town the brown water, the side of town that has brown water.
Well, I live on the West
It's
End and I have brown water.
I think the West End is more
Right.
affected generally, but recently it's been everybody, all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
If you look at the map, it goes from Old Town all the way to west, all the way to the circuits. Then I've heard of off of Westgate. So they've had brown water off in the Westgate by Nottingham. I think it's Nottingham, something like that. Then you go north and it goes down Dallin Road at the restaurants. They've had brown water at restaurants. Then after that, you have brown water up north towards Tram Road, like going, not Tram Road, going around to Lawrence Drive. So it affects, and then here on Lucas, I got a house here on Lucas to get brown water. So it has all kind of different areas of that brown water occurring. It might be hit or miss though. Some people say, well, I live right across the street and I know them, they got brown water, but I don't have brown water. So one way or another, somebody might be getting brown water. You might not be getting it today, but you could be getting it tomorrow.
Okay, Terry Preston Roy says on his, it says the flushing has 20% to do with the brown water issue only 20%.
Yeah.
So
You can
So,
flush.
is he talking about the,
don't fix management? You're not going to get the job done.
mhm.
If things aren't being handled properly all the time, the flushing's not going to matter.
Okay.
Right.
So Old Soul Laughing is from on our YouTube channel. He said he's saying that the hurricane and flooding makes it worse too, right?
Well, I think that there's a change. Like now, we've been really heavy with a whole bunch of rain, so our soil has stayed, already. It's not been changing the climate. I say so. We haven't had dry conditions and then heavy water, which will make the soil swell, shift, and whatnot. So with the hurricanes and the flooding, it may make it worse if there is a change in the actual soil conditions. If there's a drought compared to then there's a whole bunch of water. South Park has brown water too. See, that's a new one right there. See, South Park. See, what I was telling somebody else is we see a lot of complaints on Beaumont, Texas Information Station on Facebook on my site from individuals that are on there, right? But a lot of individuals that are on there are from the Old Town area, the North End, the West End. I don't know how many people are from the South End. I get some people from the East End. However, I don't get a lot of people from the South Park area. And then, like I said, imagine the complaints that we have and we see. Imagine the ones that we don't see. And like I said, this is a new one. So South Park has brown water too.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little messy right now. I'm going to Pamela Johnson.
Just right now, Tony.
I'm always
right.
I'm not just messy. I'm petty. Okay, let's say that.
Yes.
Pamela Johnson is saying, hey, hold here you go.
Right.
Y'all piling up on Mike. Oh my.
No, we're asking
Mike.
No, we're asking our elected official. We're asking an elected official to stand up if they claim, if they represent that they have a problem with, and this is quote unquote from Mike saying that he's probably the only council member that would want to remove Mike Kyle Hayes. So with that said, if he's the only one, raise your hand. So if you're the only one, then I want to know by you ballsing up and having the balls to raise your hand and say, hey, I don't like you to be our city council, city manager anymore. I want you removed. I want to start looking for applications. Let's start sending them out for process. So if you want to remove Kyle Hayes, raise your hand, because I would do it if I was on council. 100%.
He can just say that. He could be like, Tricia and James want you gone. Just say that.
Right, exactly.
We're asking.
Put it on somebody else, because you're the actual person that makes change, because you are one of 7 to make the change. I can't make the change in Beaumont. I can't get up there and sign your paperwork. So if you're a council member, this goes out to all of you, 1 through 7. If you are a council member that represents the citizens of Beaumont and you do not like where the citizens of Beaumont stand on this issue and you want to see the same change that they want to see, raise your hand, put it on the table, see who supports that.
Also,
that's all we're asking. We're not putting it on certain people because we know we have a fan club. We're asking everybody.
And I've
put
asked,
it on the table.
I've asked I've asked him. He does not respond to anything. And
right.
I haven't talked to, I spoke to AJ Turner for a little bit in a post, and that was good. But no, Samuel doesn't answer questions.
Right.
Samuel doesn't answer questions.
Nope.
No, you can find Samuel. He said you can find me in the community at HEB, Home Depot.
Anywhere
Beyond that, you cannot make contact with him. So that's according to everybody else, and according word for word from him on his council run was on re-election. People do enjoy re-electing him, even though a lot of folks say that they cannot make contact with him. So I don't understand whose fault it is. If it's the citizens that keep on re-electing him, or him being in office and not doing what the citizens want him to do. Who's to blame, citizen?
Well,
I think it's the citizens to blame to keep on putting him in if y'all don't like that he's not doing anything.
Well, I've never had a problem. I call him and he picks up the phone, or we talk.
Right.
I guess certain people get that opportunity. But anyway,
I don't have the cell phone number, but I mean, I've called him out on Facebook, and he doesn't respond to me.
But,
Tony was just now saying we ain't important.
Yeah, no.
It's cool. Certain people, get that.
One more time. That's Terry Roy again with another question here. He said there's not enough oxidation in the pipes, which also causes brown water issues.
I've been told that by a gentleman who actually worked for our water department. That's what he is saying, that it's an oxidation issue. And again, it all goes back to how it's being managed. If it's not being taken care of by the people who work doing that, then things need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But we have to get people in there who can fix them.
Well, folks, we have to hold them accountable, and we've got to be accountable for ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it go hand in hand. So we've got to be accountable.
Well, like I said,
and we got to make them accountable.
Yeah. If we're not holding them accountable, they're not going to do it on their own. I can promise you that. It's all good for the glory whenever things look right. Hey, I'm on camera. I got this going, blah, 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 this. But are you thinking outside the box? Are you continuing and pushing new programs? Are you trying new things to make a better life for Beaumont citizens? Until you do that, Are you representing us or not? No, I don't think you are. So why put them in office, or why continue to support them while they're in office? So if you have individuals that don't do nothing, then kick them out, or just tell them where they're doing wrong. Stop kissing their butts, basically. Stop doing that.
We got one more to go, and it's
Mhm.
is it Carker L?
Parker L.
Okay, great. It's not. She said it's not the flushing that they need. They need new pipes, and that requires money. Getting them to spend it is something else.
We have the money.
Exactly.
We got the
Yeah.
money. We got the money.
Yeah.
But this is money that we shouldn't have to spend. We have the money, and we had the money.
Yeah.
But if they had to maintain those, do maintenance on them, we wouldn't be going through this.
Yep.
Right. Well, that's another thing, though. Why are we not just pushing a little bit of pipe each year? Why don't we get in a process? Regardless, why don't we say we're going to replace so-and-so thousands of feet every single year and upped it and figure out, hey, look, we did 10 pipes last year. Let's do 15 next year. Let's stretch our budget instead of keep on looking into things like, oh, well, I'm just using this for example. It's old news now, but I'm saying $2 million on a roundabout. So instead, let's focus pipe dream money into things that actually work, actually we need, compared to things that are just dreams and ideals. What about the budget for flowers all the way around Beaumont? Instead of that budget on flowers, can we actually take some of that money and put it into sewer, into water, things that actually
we're going to knock down. That's
I have to take one more. I have to take one more comment before we leave. I've got to take this one. This is the best one of all. Yeah, okay, great. Karen Norwood. She said Hayes lied. He said that the city never had a directional flushing program.
Before we go I'm going to do what I do all the other times. Everybody needs to lay off of Karen. We're worried about Mike Getz and, how we're piling it on him. She's just looking out for the city. It doesn't matter what her area code is. She cares enough, even if it's not her area code. That's more than most people.
I explained it to somebody. I explained it to somebody about that is, they're like, oh, well, Karen lives out of town. Well, if she cares about the city, who cares where the hell she's from? The same way as I care whenever somebody says, oh, well, pray for California or pray for Israel, right? That's in whole other countries and whole other states. So you're worried and you're poor people over there. But yet whenever somebody from another city is voicing concerns for something in our city, oh, they live in another city. They're just pointing out the problems. Let them point out the problems and get behind them, because if they got information on things that we need to know, I'm all with them.
We needed to know who it is, right? For years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Been about 2, 3, 4 years now.
I agree, and so we must demand what we want. So it's going to take more than one person.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's going to take more than just Mike Getz. 100%. But like I said, I've asked, if you have a problem with Kyle Hayes and you feel like you're the only one that has a problem with, do us a big favor and raise your hand. You have your support in Ward 2 to reelect you. Okay. And that's 2 more years now down. Right. You have 2 more years down the road, regardless, to build back your favor with those that like Kyle Hayes that you're going to upset. If that's what you think, is you're going to upset some friends of Kyle Hayes, that's a problem. If you care for the citizens of Beaumont, raise your hand if you believe you're the only one that wants to remove Kyle Hayes, and see if you can get a second, and then see if you can get a 4-3 vote in favor to replace, or even take the options of getting a new city manager or department heads that actually can run that department the way that it needs to be. So let's say this, if it's not Kyle Hayes that's the problem, then it's the department heads. But then again, it falls back on it being Kyle Hayes being the city manager the ultimate problem, to not fire the department heads if the department heads are the actual problem, right? One way or another, it's still Kyle Hayes' issue to be out. He needs to be removed if he's not going to remove the department heads that are not doing their job, if that's the problem. Or
he's the problem.
If he's the problem. One way or another, he actually needs to be disciplined and removed, because it's either him or the department heads, but it still falls back on him. It still falls back on the city council to hold him accountable. It still falls back on the citizens to hold the council accountable, one way or another.
Our time is up, everyone, and I thank you. And those who watched and listened, you watched us to the end, but we're not through with this. We are going to be continue to demand what we want in the city of Beaumont. We are the taxpayer. We are the taxpayers here. We pay the taxes here. They work for us, so we want to get involved in this, and we want everyone to get involved in it, because it takes a mass of us to do this.
Yeah, evening meetings. Citizens speak first. Citizens speak first.
Right.
Our voices need to be heard.
And voices need to be heard. We thank you, Trish. We thank you, Tricia and James, for joining us this evening for our topic of brown water crisis, and of course we always end up with the city. So we thank you, and my co-host Francis Larkins. I thank you for Thompson Larkin. I thank you for stopping in and being with us evening as well. Join us. We're off this Sunday for the 4th of July holiday. Want y'all to drive safe, be careful, and we're gonna say God bless you. And we'll be back on next Tuesday on Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to all Knowledge is Power social media pages.